America. Have you ever taken a moment to stop and think, what is this land where we live? Is it just spacious skies, the land of the free and home of the brave? Baseball? With all of these assumptions and stereotypes being tossed around, I thought I needed to investigate how exactly Americans and non-Americans alike see this country.
When I think of America, I guess the buzzword that comes to mind is freedom.
My parents see America as this land of freedom. My parents' dream was to always come back to America.
I think one of the most obvious is the amount of opportunity there is here, which I think is unparalleled anywhere else. And there's just a lot of resources in terms of human capital and financial and food, and there's sort of plenty in a lot of ways.
And being an immigrant myself, I would say that it definitely is a land of opportunity.
And here, I feel like there's a purpose. People feel a purpose towards something. There's a fire. Not that it's not other places, but I feel like here, when I'm here, I feel like when I do something, it's of consequence.
It's a special place in that everyone has a chance to be free and to sort of live out their dreams.
Wait, come on. Stereotypes in the U.S. can't be that cute and cuddly.
But in reality, it's just the most powerful country in the world, in all sense of the word, both cultural and military and social. Although, obviously we have problems here, but we're still powerful. It doesn't stop that fact from happening.
Well, we call the President of the United States, we call them the chief of the planet. We have a word for them. So just hearing that from a very young age just gives you the idea that, oh, the United States, so they're like on top of the world or something. Mm-hmm.
Given our recent foreign policy, I feel like the United States is seen as this overbearing being, not in the paternalistic sense, but just in a power-hungry amalgamation that has gone way beyond its...
Okay. So when you are in the U.S., you see the States as a special place where you can live out your dreams. And when you are on the other side of the fence, it is this power-hungry amalgamation?
Yeah, definitely, U.S. holds this mystique, I guess?
Mystique. I would say so. But what is mass-producing this mystique and the differing perceptions of the U.S.?
I never really thought America was too different. I did see I watched a lot of American television, a lot of American media, Power Rangers, and then for a while, when we were kids, we watched things like Saved by the Bell, which is or California Dreams. They're supposed to paint an American picture, and it's very wholesome, very good, and everyone's happy, and everyone's really pretty and shiny.
TV, of course, TV is huge. TV is making changes in Jamaica like nothing. As in, it introduces so much to us.
At home, I would say I didn't watch TV a lot when I was a kid, but my dad and I would always watch the news together. And there was one Canadian news channel that we'd always watch, CBC. But CNN was always on. And CNN was always this kind of eye to America.
Great! So people get their understanding of the U.S. through TV, CNN, and Power Rangers. What else?
Well, when I was there, it was the time of the elections, like I said, so they were always following American politics the same way we follow it, which was really interesting that they were so absorbed with how the campaigning was going and how the election went. And people were, even though it was 4 o'clock in the morning there when the results came in, people were up and watching the news.
And I remember that I would see documentaries about Bush and Texas and how conservative Texas is and what they believe in and how much they believe in God.
Okay, and our clean politics and wonderfully moral leaders. Is that it?
And I think, the Iraqi War, that was a big source of information about America and what America stood for. That was potentially more negative.
After the involvement of the United States in the war, political developments in Yugoslavia, and we were so close to Serbia and Kosovo and all those things, and many people thought that the involvement of the U.S. was really necessary and really unfair.
as well as that foreign policy which affects their nation, such as bombings and war.
But you learn a lot from the people you meet and their perspectives, and not necessarily the stories they bring to you, but just how they perceive situations and how they approach situations.
Actually, I went on an exchange program when I was 16, so I came to a high school in Washington, D.C., and that was my first impression of America. And also we have American kids come to my high school, and we have foreign teachers who speak better English than our Chinese teachers. And the first impression of America definitely came from those objects and people.
Okay, so we as individuals do have some control over our narrative through the many foreign exchange programs in our country. But we've got to have more influence than just that.
And also you had older relatives that came back on vacation. And the thing about people that come back to the country is that even though their lives may be difficult as hell in Jamaica, in America, wherever they are in America, when they come home, they look fantastic because they come home, they save for it for a whole year. So they are giving us probably not the right impression of what their lives are like here.
So, as individuals, those people who go back to their home countries are our first direct line of what the U.S. is. And thankfully, they present such an honest image.
They hear the stories of all the families that go to U.S. and come back. They have access, there's a lot of access to U.S. movies, music, all these other things that they see. And they see the level of wealth and they see the mentality that surrounds this wealth through like Hollywood. Which we all know, first of all, is not exactly realistic, but for them, that's what it is, you know? So I'm assuming that's where they get it from.
So, you know, like, you can say that I didn't know how much I was affected by America, but everything that I grew up with, whether that be like movies, books, television, films, games, fashion. Where does it come from? Canada. Just kidding. Comes from America.
As Sarah was saying, essentially everything from the U.S. affects citizens of other countries. Unfortunately, however, the outlets which reach the largest audiences, such as TV, CNN, political figures, and foreign policy, are all mediums which we, as the citizens of the U.S., have little to no control over. I find this to be a scary thought, as after 9/11, the main motive for why the U.S. was attacked seemed to be because the terrorists hate our way of life. But which way of life is that? The mass-produced one, which tends to be more fiction than fact? Or the America beyond Hollywood, where mothers and fathers raise their kids and work to get by? In either case, as citizens, we should take command over what narrative is being sent, instead of sitting back and letting Hollywood and the political leaders of the time dictate what it means to be an American.